Mr. Agnew, please.
Thank you. I felt it was a good opportunity to ask you about something that happened last year. There's so many of you here, one of you may know something about it. And this is a problem with a material called fipronil, which is used by egg producers to clean their chicken houses. And it's highly effective at killing mites. Now, as it happened, it turned out rather well for the UK. But the situation was that Dutch egg producers were able to use this material called fipronil, and yet the UK across the water in the same single market, customers there were not able to buy the product. The reason for that was that the British Health and Safety Executive hadn't allocated a number to the material. I'm not quite sure what the trading name was. And so that was, you might say, a glaring example of the single market not working. Well, actually, that turned out to be very much in our favour because, as you may or may not know, the fipronil got into eggs and created a food hazard. So I just wondered to myself, well, is this a completely isolated experience where one country can, in the single market can effectively stop a material coming in, or is it actually fairly commonplace? So that, I'm hoping one of the 12 or the 16 of you may know something about that. And the other, I think the very important, this word mutual recognition is crucial now because of Brexit. And one or two of you may have ideas on how we can use mutual recognition for a frictionless border. Thank you, Chairman.
And then we have the questions from Mr. Agnew, and who, I think there were different questions. So who wants to yes, please, sir.
Yes, thank you. I will try to answer it because my authority is also responsible for the enforcement, market surveillance on biocides and pesticides. And as far as I know, fipronil is a biocide. And yes, there can be differing situations because biocides require registration into each and every biocides are. So for those of us who know very little on biocides and pesticides, of which I am one because it's not my line. But biocides are things which kill. Okay, so I don't know, the wipes which we use every day, those are impregnated with biocides because they want to kill germs, right? So being so toxic, being so harmful chemicals, biocides require to be registered in each and every member state. And depending on the location and depending on the climate and depending on certain specificities, the member state might or might not register the product because obviously the product might not be powerful enough to kill germs in Malta. All right, so a product, a biocide in the UK or the Netherlands, as what mentioned, are different. So it can be that issue. So there is an element of that. But if I may go back to on the risk assessment, which Business Europe has mentioned. But we should not be very afraid of having different risk assessments. Once we had a big discussion in a forum in Europe because some member state wanted to ban, to allow Chinese lanterns. Whilst we wanted to, I think everybody knows what Chinese lanterns are. They are left to their own accord once it is lit, etc., etc. Whilst we objected because for us the product poses a serious risk. Obviously, Malta is very different. The climate in Malta, being so dry, being whatever, all right, is very different. So the risk assessment has to take into account, and this is also ties in with what I said about the subsidiarity of the member state. So the risk assessment would differ definitely from, say, the Netherlands, which is obviously there is much more rain, there is much more water than we have. We don't even have fresh water, let alone We have a lot of seawater around us, but obviously we cannot. So it's the risk assessment. It's yes, I'm all for, or we are all for harmonization as much as possible, but there is no one size fits all. Thank you.